Howdy y'all, this is AR Cavally. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do session 2 of our Forge solo role playing. I'm going to start off by, and I won't do it again, but I'm going to start off by showing off some of my toys because I like toys. So, I have a bunch of these pre-painted D&D figs from the early 2000s. They're very convenient to use, and they don't break. You don't have to worry about dropping them. And on here, you're not really going to see much difference as far as, details or whatnot. But these are the two I selected because that's closest of what I have of a female in chain with a sword. And this guy's almost perfect. He's got a shield, plate armor, and a spear. So those guys work great. And I have, don't worry, I'm not going to show them all to you, but I have like 2 of these containers full of creatures, critters, heroes, orcs, whatever. Some of them I did actually repaint because, well, not too long ago I was pretty good at painting, and I probably would still be. But here's a couple that I repainted. I don't know if they'll work, if you'll be able to see too well, but those are 2 that I completely repainted. And here's a couple just for kind of some side by side. The one on, let's see, okay, there we go. The one on the right, I painted, or repainted, and the one on the left, which I can't seem to keep my hands straight, that's the one, that's how it came. And with a lot of these, I dip them in wood stain, which is kind of a cheap trick to, get some extra shading in there, shading effects. So it does have the unfortunate effect of making everything kind of dull or darker, but that's not too bad. Here's some peasants. Excuse me. The one on the left is wood stain, and the one on the right is one that I repainted. And then 2 more character types that I repainted from. All right, like I said, I'm not going to make you watch all my look at all my nifty toys. But now that's my characters. This one has a bunch of my monsters and whatnot in it. And what I'm going to do is now I'm going to indulge, so if you want to get to the story, then go ahead and skip forward, because it's been such a long time since I've actually painted anything. It's a good reminder. It's a good way to remind myself that it might be something I could get back into someday. All right, so here's my top shelf. You can see most of my gaming, I actually prefer a Renaissance era for my campaigns. But this campaign is going to be set more in your typical fantasy medieval era. Pardon me for constantly getting out of my little box up here. And here are some others. Some of these are sci-fi, so probably won't be pulling them out. So, and this is one of my favorites. This is Grandpa Get Off My Lawn. I think he's a Reaper. mini. Anyway, I've never used him in anything, but he's just such a cool, a cool character. I just like to use him. Now, even though I said I was going to use my handy map and do some grid-based combat, I promise whenever I will try to uh, pause the video when I go to the setup and everything. And I did just get this, and it's very convenient, especially because it has the this is Big Book of Battle Maps. It's like 24 bucks right now on Amazon. I think mostly they tend to be a little more than that, so I don't know if it's on sale or what. But and there's a lot of a good mix of maps in there, and you also just have a plain battle map, and these are designed so that you can use dry erase markers on them. However, as I was going through looking for my miniatures, I remembered that actually not too long ago had myself a terrain making obsession from watching, let's see, I think it was Black Magic Dungeon Craft. Black Magic Craft. I apologize. He has a lot of stuff. I mean, he got in, and then also Professor Dungeon Master. He did a lot. The first videos I saw of him were doing his little foam boards. So I made a bunch of these, and I may pull them out because actually they turned out pretty good. I never used them. Well, you can see right there, but that one has a bent, something got out, right? And so they're double-sided. This is like a natural cave with pools, dungeon tiles, so you can flip them over and use. Here's some tavern floors, the cobbled road, some typical things like that. And then also made various set pieces to use as walls to add up there. And the other thing, or one thing that I looked at that I was actually really impressed with, it'd been a long time since I've seen them, and I'm generally not the type to toot my own horn. But these doors came out pretty cool. And this is all stuff I handmade out of foam from the Dollar General foam board. You can kind of see where they join together there. I did also see how much I can get on here. I made like a large battle map, one side, wood on the other, but it turned out well. It is a little warped, but it's also kind of inconvenient to use. But all right, I'm not going to show you any more of my toys. Appreciate you indulging me. But it's, I'm kind of excited because, like I said, I usually use Roll20 and digital, all the digital assets, and it's great for that. It's great for my Savage World game that I'm running, and the Aliens game that one of my players is running for us right now. We use Roll20, and it works great, especially because we're all in different parts of the country. But like I said, I wanted to use my toys because I haven't had a chance to. But anyway, I won't I won't subject you to showing off any more of my toys. Maybe. Yeah, I'll make that a mostly probably true. All right, now back to our business. So, last episode we made our 2 PC characters. Lucas Vigo, the trader, as in peddler slash merchant type, not traitor to his kingdom. And then Marion Kears, or did I say Morion? I think Morion, maybe. Morion sounds a little more fantasy-ish, so we'll go with Morion Kears, a vagrant who came into money and wants to start over. I was kind of rethinking her background because it was celebrate expectation, and if she had been any other kind of class, not a vagrant, maybe like a farmer's daughter or a merchant's daughter, then I think I probably would have had it to where she came into her wealth because uh, she got pregnant by some rich person, either a guild master or noble or whatever, and he basically was supporting her and gave her money to take care of the kid, even though it's not acknowledging the child, just making sure it's taken care of. And so I thought that I'm not going to change it because, like I said, she's a vagrant, so I think that's probably a little less likely. But it was kind of an interesting character concept to ponder because then she would have something at home, a baby to take care of while she was off traipsing around. All right. All right. So now that I'm done showing off toys, adjust my camera there. We're going to generate the settlement that they're from, or at least that they're starting their adventures in, because obviously they don't just pop up out of nowhere. And this gives them a starting point, and is also a good. It's a good info to have because it's a possible launching point, inciting incident, might be some kind of trouble with the town. So we're going to come over to, we have our places to develop wilderness, dungeons, and settlements. All right. So the first thing I'm just going to do, I'm going to decide the size of the settlement, which is a D6 roll, 3. All right, so it's a village of 50 to 1,000 inhabitants. I think I might bump that up. Well, see, she's from urban, but that doesn't necessarily mean that this is where she's. Actually, it might even make more sense that since she's trying to make a new start, she might start somewhere else. So, all right, we'll start with that. So it's a small village. That also makes it a little easier to flesh out and camera makes it easier to flesh out and figure stuff out. So, and to have some initial contacts to keep track of what's going on. All right, so it's a village, and so that's 50 to 1,000 inhabitants. See, is there a calculation for that? I could roll. I don't know, that's a pretty big gap. I'm just going to roll a D10 and wing it. The higher the roll, higher the population. Oh, 1. Okay, so this is like a podunk village. So maybe this is where she decided to go off to start her new life, and maybe this is where his name Lucas, where this is maybe where Lucas crawled off to after losing all of his money, being laughed out. So this is a tiny village, like 50 people. All right, so population. Let's see. Okay, population 62, just to round it up or round it off. All right, population 62. So that's the first thing we do, and then our locations. We're just going to roll one on each because there's, it's a small place, so it's not going to have a whole bunch of things, but it's a village in a fantasy world, so you never know. Maybe there's some kind of weird chick with an orrery flying around at the top of a strange tower, keeping track of the stars and the mysteries. All right, so I'm just going to note down the places of interest and then develop them. Each one of these is a D66 roll. 45 for our public plaza. All right, so most villages have a commons or a greens place where the village gather, throw their little celebrations. Good chance there might be a linden tree in the middle of it, that's important to the village, whatnot. So we'll say it has a public plaza. And I'm not going to map out the whole village, but I'm just going to use little reference points to start with. All right, now our slums. Well, it's the whole village is the 62 people, so slums is probably either the whole village or it doesn't exist. But 25, okay, so there's a dark alley. Now this dark alley, let's see, where will we put our dark alley? 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll put it down here in this area. So I think this dark alley is like maybe runs between a couple of abandoned houses or something. Sorry, that sun's really coming in there. Nice outside. Beautiful, but it's kind of making my face glow. Not like healthy, but like irradiated glow on the camera. All right, so this is dark alley. I'm picturing that because it is a small village, that it's not necessarily like an actual dark alleyway, but maybe a place that people are not comfortable going, especially at night. I expect that maybe there's 1 or 2 people locally who are troublemakers. Maybe they hang out there. And then our third, which is our elite, this will be maybe who runs the town, the village. 46. A royal garden. Huh. All right, a royal garden. Okay, so this is a royal garden. If it has a royal garden, that's pretty big, or that's that's a pretty good expense when you're talking about medieval areas, because of course now you also need someone to take care of it. If it's a royal garden, I'm wondering if this village is a demesne. Is that how you pronounce it? A demesne of higher noble. So this village maybe is owned directly by some duke or count, maybe even the king, or however this country ends up being fleshed out with on our tables. And where's that going to be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so there's royal gardens, and I'm going to say there's probably someone's going to be running. If it's got royal gardens, it's probably going to have some kind of steward, some kind of alderman who's in charge. All right. Is this alderman, is this person in charge, is this steward, is he actually some kind of nobility? Is he actually like a a person of import. I'm going to say it's unlikely. I mean, he himself will be, of course, he'll have at least enough status to be running the village, but he may just be maybe a wealthy peasant or something who is just there to carry out the will of the owners of the land. So, is he an important noble? I'm going to say unlikely. So that's going to be a 5 or 6. Red die is, when I'm rolling, red die is almost always the first die. So it's going to be the yes, no, and then the blue die is going to be the modifier. Okay, so he is. So this person who's running it, how close is he to the owner? I'm going to roll D6. All right, so the owner who knows, so I'm going to put village. I'm going to make this a royal village. So it belongs directly to, so I'm going to say that in this case, that means that it's probably fairly well taken care of. And it's, it's still just a village of 62 people, but I think it's probably a nicer place to live. And we're going to, all right, so he is a nobleman of some kind. We'll just put him at the Lord. We'll just put the Lord's Manor. And it will be, I think, close. It'll be close both to the gardens and the green. All right. So let me pause while I jot down some notes, and you don't have to listen to me mutter to myself. All right, so I did a little bit of rolling here, and I also looked up, it is domain, is how you pronounce it. I'm sure related to domain, but all right, so this royal village is a domain of Duke Nekon, the Lion. Actually, I rolled his last name, his surname as being Leo, and even though it's a different Leo, I thought that's cool, because especially if you look at history of the Holy Roman Empire, there were people like to be the lion a lot. So, and the steward is Lord Sedan Pendry, who is cousin to the Duke. So, I'm going to say that they're not on super good terms, but the Duke at least trusts him with this little village. All right. And at some point, we may flesh some more character details about this guy out, especially since most business for the village is probably going to go through him. Now we're going to generate some other settlement details. So the settlement focus, and it may not even have a focus, it's just the Lord's, maybe it's completely bankrupt and the Lord just keeps it, supports it financially because he likes the royal garden there. All right, 5-4. Science. Okay, so it focuses on science, and so I was kind of joking about that orrery earlier, but I think this is, it's either the Duke or the Steward. Let's see. All right, is it the Duke who has the big interest in science, or and if it's not, I'm going to say it's unlikely, because if he's got a big castle or whatever, he's probably going to do most of his experiments and reading or whatnot in his main land. So chances are it's going to be Lord Sedan. I guess I should figure out how I'm actually going to pronounce that once and for all. Sedan. Yeah, Sedan. I know how to say Sedan. All right, so unlikely it's going to be the Duke. But is it the Duke? Okay, it's not the Duke, but our modifier die kicks in. Let's see what our modifier does. I can't remember if that's the and. or the or. Okay, so that's the and. So it's not the Duke, so that means it is totally sedan, and maybe there's something different. Maybe sedan actually is some kind of, I don't know, maybe a mage or some kind of academic. How about that? All right, so focus on science. All right, Lord Pendry is some kind of researcher. I wonder, I'm going to say it's very unlikely, but maybe Lord Pendry is actually our character's. I know the name is different. I'm going to say it's very unlikely, but just because things, maybe that's why our now broke merchant showed back up here in this village. Maybe his dad is the steward, is the lord of the village. I'm very unlikely, so it's going to be a 6. Okay, no. Is Lord Pendry? Does he have some kind of secret identity? Some kind of this is not a. It's a fantasy world, so it's not really a world where someone is going to be persecuted just for knowing magic and studying things. It'll be, if they delve into the dark arts. But is there something? Is there something beyond just research that Lord Pendry is has abilities in? Is he some kind of magic user? He is, but oh goodness. All right, so Lord Pendry is now a very interesting person. So he is some kind of magic user, necromancer, whatever. But let's see, what would that but be? Maybe he's wanted. Maybe it is going back to that dark magic. I'm going to use verbs and nouns to give a prompt on Lord Pendry. Now it says science, but maybe his science is actually a cover for some dark arts. We'll let the verbs tell us. So third table 22, provoke. First table 5-1. Provoke elements. He is an elementalist of some kind. So he is, yeah, I think because we had that, and I think that's probably means that he is. Does he? Is it inimical? So he is that. He's some kind of. He's powerful because we have the and I'm going to say he keeps it secret. Okay, he is, and he keeps it secret because maybe he delves into things that he doesn't want people to. All right, so Lord Pendry is an elementalist. He keeps his work secret. Now he may have, and we won't worry about that right now, but later on, this is a good plot. Maybe he's the good guy, right? Maybe he knows of things through his arts, and he's going to be able to send the characters to go to these places because he knows something that's going on. Okay, so Lord Pendry. A lot of times when I'm writing in my journal or the notes, I'll underline names just because it's easier for me to find them out. So Lord Pendry is an elementalist who keeps his work secret. So people know him, and there's probably rumors because there's always rumors. And I think because of that, let's see, does he have his own research place. Now, the focus of the village is the research. Does he have some kind of tower with the orrery on top of it? I'm going to say 50-50, that there is some kind of research place outside of his manor house, either a tower, probably some kind of tower. If not, then it's going to be probably like in his basement, someplace where, no visitors are allowed kind of thing. So does he have a separate tower? 50-50. Okay, he does not. So I'll put Lord's Manor, and it has a secret lab beneath. So that probably means that even though the main focus of the village as rolled is science, the villagers, they're not really involved. They know that the Lord does some kind of science. He's like an academic. He's one of these, squirrely, reclusive types. All right, so let's finish filling out the settlement here, and then we'll wrap it up. We'll give it a good spot. Okay, so what is our settlement problem? 21. Dangerous discovery. So I'm going to say probably this guy, Lord Pendry, made some kind of dangerous discovery. Let's see. Lord Pendry discovered what kind of dangerous discovery would he have made? Let's go back to our action and verb tables. We could actually use like a wilderness encounter table, see something like that, but let's just get an idea. So our verb is fifth table, 14. So proceed. Oops. Second table, 34. Proceed intellectual. Proceed intellectual. I don't really care for that one. So I'm going to flip those two around. Instead of 43, we'll go to, oh, whoops, instead of 34, we'll go to 43. Perceive or proceed law. So I think he probably has somebody who suspects, some kind of royal official, someone that he has to worry about. I don't know, maybe a witch hunter type, maybe just a, some kind of cleric, maybe. So Lord Pendry discovered that someone is close. Oops. He discovered that someone, and we'll develop that maybe later on, just because it's his trouble, probably doesn't mean he's going to be getting our new recruit PCs involved. So he discovered that someone is close to discovering his illicit activity. As close to bringing charges against him. I'll put it that way. And that's something for, if you're new to solo role play and either the prompt doesn't make sense, or it goes in a direction you just don't want to go, or it's not interesting to you, re-roll. Or what a lot of times I'll do is like I did, I'll flip those dice around on that D66 table. All right. All right, well, I think that puts us a little bit over 30 minutes. And we now have our starting point. Let's give our village a name before I forget here. I'm just going to go to the creature, the name character, the naming charts here. And I haven't decided what level of, if there's going to be demi-humans. I don't really care for demi-humans in general. Call me a speciest or or whatever. But they just, I don't know. I don't have I don't hate them, but I just don't find them to be interesting. I rather, I guess it's because they kind of, a lot of times they just all tend to be the same. Like in writing terms, the world of hats, where they represent like the Klingons, they're all warriors, or at least that's how they're presented. So it's like they just a lot of times represent one thing. Some games like Forbidden Lands, they make them more interesting, but I still prefer human centric. Anyway, that was a lot of blathering. But for all that, I think we'll use the dwarf. Anyway, that's kind of where I got off. We're going to use the dwarf name table just as a starting point. Ooh, 66. All right, so the village. Now, this is probably some place where, it might be interesting to go get my Perilous Wilds. But I think Forge has enough tables in it to use that. So let's see. Torag. Does it have another name? No. All right, so it's just Torag. And maybe that means something to the people, some kind of history. We'll figure that out. And we'll figure that out later. All right. So there we go. I've showed off all my toys, and we have generated the starting point, the village. Next, we'll send our people out on some kind of adventure. Anyway, hope that was helpful, or at least mildly entertaining to watch, and happy gaming.